Okay, this is Orlando Wilson. And in this video, I'm going to answer a question somebody sent me about high risk, high reward in the security business, etc., etc. Let me expand on that, because the security business always has been a little bit of a contradiction unto itself. Okay, let's say you're providing close protection services, executive protection services to a client with an active threat. And threats can vary greatly. If you understand, and if you're doing your job properly, the risk should be minimal, because you've done everything possible to minimize that risk to the client. If the client understands things, the reason they're hiring you is to minimize the risk to them and their family, their business, etc. If you're doing your counter surveillance properly, you should make sure you're not being watched and followed. Again, that also applies over these days to social media, internet footprint, etc. to you and the client, so everything should be minimal. So this is where you're doing everything possible to minimize the risk. So things should be fairly safe as long as you're doing the job properly. Issues are unexpected threats. If you're working in a hostile environment, the threats from terrorist attacks, sporadic terrorist attacks, IED attacks, again, they're things you can't predict if they're not directed towards you. For an example, let's use, you could be working in a major city. There's an active shooter incident, there's an IED attack that's got nothing to do with you, but you could get caught up in it. Wrong time, wrong place. So all that needs to be in your SOPs and your protocols of how to deal with something like that. It's not just attacks that are targeted towards you, which you can possibly predict, but the unexpected things that can go wrong. You're in the wrong place at the wrong time, there's an active shooter incident, an IED goes off. You can't predict those things, but you need to be prepared for them. Now, the sporadic things that can happen on the street. This is where I would say, yes, you can get paid well for providing executive close protection services. And if you're doing things properly, the risk would be minimal. Now, moving back over onto high risk and low pay, I would say that's more what is classed as the lower end of the security market. Wrongly classed as the lower end of the security market because it's all security. I would say providing retail security these days, providing security to bars, clubs, private policing, housing estates, that I would say is high risk and low pay. You can learn a lot of things doing that type of work, but again, the guys and girls that's doing that are open to a lot more sporadic threats. From drunks, druggies, crazy people, etc. that'll pull a knife out and stab them for no reason. As I said, if you're getting into the security business, you can learn a lot from working in those environments, especially conflict resolution, how to de-escalate situations, and how to deal with problems. So this is where, back down to the question, the higher the risk, the more pay. Yes, it can be. But again, if you look at the security industry in general, I would say it's a lot safer providing close protection services as long as you know what you're doing. And a lot of people are providing close protection services. They don't know what they're doing. They're more liabilities to themselves and liabilities to their clients. But if you know what you're doing, I would say providing close protection is a lot safer than providing, say, retail security services in a lot of inner cities. I know one guy comes to mind. I know one guy who was working armed security in South Florida, in Miami. And the company he was working for always used to throw him out on questionable supermarkets in the hood that had problems, to put it politely. And he dealt with a lot of shit, a lot. And I said to him, it's like, for the money he's being paid, it wasn't worth it. He had it a couple of times. He had issues with people, and he said he thought he was going to get into it big time one day when somebody he ejected from the store for stealing, they were driving past the location, looking at him, they come back with some of their friends, etc. And he thought he was going to have major issues. Reported it to the police are like, okay, when you have an issue, call us. They're reactionary. Even though they do their job, they're reactionary. So I would say that situation for him was pretty high risk. And that's not the type of thing you encounter on most executive close protection jobs, hopefully. If you do, then things have gone wrong and you evacuate the client, you move to another location, etc. If you're working retail on a supermarket in the hood, you can't really up and leave. You can always quit your job, but the guy needed the money apparently. So this is where high risk, high reward. Well, a lot of the how can I put it? A lot of the supposedly low profile security jobs, the low paying security jobs, I would say is a lot more high risk these days than providing close protection, executive protection services, as long as you know what you're doing. The guys and girls that's out there providing executive protection services, close protection services, they're doing a half-assed job. As I say, they're a liability, and if things go wrong, they're going to have severe problems. And there's a lot more of those guys and girls out there than people that actually know what they're doing. But that's just my opinion. So in the meantime, follow me along on social media. There's a lot more of these videos going up. Check out my books on Amazon, and check out the articles on our blogs, Risk Inc. and my personal blog, True Funny Has a Few Friends. In 2024, we'll be starting up the courses again. We're looking to get courses going in the US again. I've been slam busy, so the courses are taking a backstage at the moment, but we will be getting them started up again, and we'll see what happens. So in the meantime, be good, stay safe, stay out of trouble, and remember, a lot of the high risk jobs, if you do the proper threat assessments, you might be looking after a wealthy client, etc. But as long as things are done properly, you know what I mean, the risk is minimal. If you're working a supermarket in the hood or doing some retail job, a lot of times that's going to be a lot more high risk these days, and stand a lot more chance of being stabbed, etc. But again, a lot of it is down to, as always, the basics. Do your threat assessments, make sure you're not being watched, make sure you're not being followed, and be prepared to deal with any incidents. As I say this all the time, a lot of people that have the biggest problems are the people that think it's never going to happen to them. Things can always go wrong, and you need to predict the things and have procedures in place to deal with the things you think will never go wrong. That to me sets apart the professionals from the amateurs, and you must know how to deal with those situations. If things go wrong, you don't have a plan, you don't have procedures, you don't know how to deal with the problem. That problem, even though it's a little problem, can turn into a very, very big problem. And again, when you're dealing with hostile incidents, hostile people, expect things to escalate as quickly as possible. You must understand conflict resolution, you must understand body language, you must understand how to deal with people, and do everything possible to de-escalate. And if you can't de-escalate things, then you end things as quickly as possible, as legally as possible. So in the meantime, be good, stay safe, stay out of trouble, and think about what I've been saying in this video and apply it.